Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is podcast. I am your host, Cody Kelly. Look, connect with me on all social media platforms, IG at CVMK33, or subscribe, or subscribe to the YouTube link below, YouTube at CV Space K. You can connect on Anchor. Always, if you want to keep seeing amazing content, you know what you got to do. Support a brother. This is how we get this stuff done. This is how we put out this amazing content. I would love to hear from you. Love to feel your support. Look, we have a great episode reviewing what happened during the NFL playoffs. I invited an amazing, talented sports aficionado podcast. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. Barry, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. I'm extremely grateful and blessed to be here.
Let's start off with the miserable Chicago Bears. Look, I live in Chicago.
Oh man,
yeah, not a Bears fan because to me the organization is ran like garbage. They lost.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
They lost 9-21. The reality is they didn't have a chance. They weren't going to beat Drew Brees and the Saints, even an aged Drew Brees. The Bears they just don't have enough talent. They don't have enough at the helm to really kind of overthrow a juggernaut like that. But the reality is they shouldn't even been there in the first place. What does Chicago need to do going forward, Barry?
So I think they need to get a new quarterback. I think they need to get someone else besides Mitch Trubisky. I think they need to get, as far as a new offensive core, a new offensive weapons, both wide receiver and running back. I mean, I like Allen Robinson a lot, but I don't know if y'all have the cap space to keep Allen Robinson and still add some other weapons to what you already have. Gonna make you a better offense. You might as well let him go. I think you guys certainly need to reevaluate your offense and see how you guys can get better from that side of the ball. I think that's the biggest point and improvement that you guys can make in order to take the next step. So, because your defense is already pretty good. Like, you got Khalil Mack, you got other defensive playmakers that can certainly be able to make an impact and game-changing plays. So if y'all want to keep him, maybe bring in another quarterback that can give him some competition. Get rid of Nick Foles because he wasn't giving that competition. Like, he wasn't that dude. Like, he's not going to bring y'all to the next level.
Look,
let's just keep it real on this podcast. So
Deshaun Watson is out there.
Like, he is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all got some weapons. If y'all can keep Jimmy Graham and Allen Robinson, like, maybe that will entice him to come.
What happened? I think there was two real upsets. I think the first upset was the Seahawks versus the Rams. I personally had the Seahawks winning. They ended up in the regular season at 12-4. Rams ended up at 10-6. Russell Wilson was having an MVP-like year. There was talk about him winning the MVP. He's never won the MVP, and the Seahawks had a very disappointing performance. They ended up losing 30-20. They were not dynamic offensively. I think DK Metcalf only had 3 receptions. What happened? Why hasn't the Seahawks been that team in the playoffs? They're great. Regular season wise, they are a great team. But when it comes to the playoffs, they haven't been the same since the year that they lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots. What is happening in the Seahawks organization?
Whew, it's a lot, man. They've got a great offensive talent in DK Metcalf. They've also got another great offensive talent in Tyler Lockett. Shout out to him. But I think they haven't been able to get the pieces to build around those guys. They haven't been able to get the consistent running game that they need. I know they're a running football team and like to run the football and play action. And as you know, watching football, if you can't run the football and establish the running game, you can't run play action. So I think with not being able to do that, that's hindered their offense, and that's held, DK Metcalf back because, the top corner of the other team has been, if they have a really good corner, they've been able to hold him back and not really be able to do as much as we've seen. We've seen him do well against the corners that aren't as good,
right,
and aren't at the top of the league. But once he gets to the corners that are really good and are really at the best at what they do, there's he certainly is not as effective. So as we saw this weekend with Jalen Ramsey. So I think what the Seahawks offense needs to do is they need to get new running backs that can be able to establish their running game and be able to get their, not only the running game going, but their play action pass. I think that's what they need to address this offseason. And I think they need to also add another weapon, another consistent weapon to the offense. Because, as far as not only being an NFC contender,
right,
but also being getting out of the NFC and moving towards the Super Bowl and winning a championship. So that thing with the Seahawks, that's what it comes down to. I think they're missing one more piece that will get them over the hump.
Let's go here. Last question. I think people are making too much out of the Browns win over the Steelers. I think the Steelers have a great coaching staff. They have a great organization. I think Ben Roethlisberger should retire. I think they're just a little over the hill. They're solid, but they're not dynamic. They ran into a team that was young, that was motivated, that was energized, and they gave them their best punch, and they won by 9 points, right? So as great as the Browns' victory is, I don't see it continuing. I think the real story here
really.
I just don't think Baker Mayfield is going to go that much further. I think next round exit is the truth. When it comes to the Ravens,
it's just because he's playing the Chiefs next round.
Yeah. So, like I said,
I'll give you that. I don't think the Browns are ready to beat the Chiefs. I'll definitely give you that.
Are the Ravens ready to take that next step? They've been knocking at the door. They've been clawing Lamar Jackson. I mean, they have literally been scrambling for it. They signed Des Bryant. Are the Ravens legit, or does it end on Sunday?
So, that as much as I like the Buffalo Bills and what I've been seeing from them all season, and and even to what we saw against the Colts, that they're actually gonna beat the Bills. That Yeah, I actually see what people are saying, and that the Ravens. I actually predicted the Ravens are going to beat the Bills and move on to the AFC Championship game. So I think that the Ravens against the Bills, obviously, which is going to be the matchup. I I think the Ravens have a good chance and a good shot to beat the Baltimore Ravens. I think to beat the Buffalo Bills, excuse me, against when they play the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens actually beat them into their own game, into their what we we've seen the Tennessee Titans do to this point. So I think that they've certainly have proven that they can uh, not only do that on one round, but they can be able to establish that and and do that against the Buffalo Bills is what they want to do moving forward. But I think the Baltimore Ravens are, more ready to win now and they'll play. So I think that's where we're at with those teams.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that, with this following week.
Awesome. Well, look, Barry, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much for being a guest on here. Thank
you for having me, man.
Anytime,
I appreciate you having me. So it's definitely a blessing. And
my friend, bigger and better things. Pro Fan Sports, connect with Barry. He is amazing, guys. Until next time, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's true. Salute.